to the ABC Podcast.
Always be cool.
The show where your hosts, DC and BK, showcase your local business and real estate pros going gangbusters in leadership, community involvement, and just being cool.
Here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs, mortgage experts at Summit Lending, and partners in crime, Darren Copeland and Bobby Kerr.
All right, everybody, it's the Always Be Cool podcast, hanging out with your hosts, Bobby Kerr, Darren Copeland.
What's up, everyone?
Hanging in the Summit Lending Studios. We've got somebody that we really enjoy getting to talk to today, the team lead for Partner Services Division of United Wholesale Mortgage, Mr. Joseph Wheat.
All right, here we go, everyone. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, raised by a single mother who taught him the value of hard work ethics, started working in the food industry at the age of 14, learning the importance of elite customer service. He's a teacher at heart and even has his education degree there, Bob.
Yep.
He is now team lead of Partner Services at UWM. He's got a passion for servant leadership, and also UWM, United Wholesale, is the largest wholesale lender in the entire United States. All-around awesome guy, Joseph Wheat. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Bobby, DC, thank you for having me. Always be cool. Summit Lending. I'm a big fan, so I'm excited. So I'm sorry if I bring the fire, but it's springtime here in Michigan, which kind of ignites something inside of me. You got baseball, and I know the Tigers and the Royals are probably not going to do anything this year, but I tell you what's going to happen is purchase season in the mortgage industry. So I'm fired up.
That's awesome, man.
Somebody's just clapping for you, too. You hear that in the background.
That's one thing. That's one thing you got to love about UWM, man. It's just everyone is out here in the trenches together, celebrating success and embracing a positive mindset.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, you know what? We always love your great attitude, Joseph, and really appreciate you hanging out with us. So before we start diving in and start talking about, what you do there at UWM and some of your passions, but man, tell us a little bit more about your background. I know you had mentioned, man, you didn't grow up in the Detroit suburbs. Like, you grew up in the Detroit inner city. Are we talking like 8 Mile type of stuff, or what are we looking at here?
So believe it or not, 8 Mile's not as bad as they make it seem.
Okay.
It's got a couple of establishments that might be a little not family friendly, so to speak, but
Sure.
Growing up in Detroit, it really taught me a lot. Yeah, I'm from a neighborhood in which you had to work. And early on, my mom said, Joseph, if you want to pull yourself out of this, what you have to have is one attribute, and that's work ethic. You have to work hard. You don't need the talent. You don't need to have the skills. But if you come to work every day, you're going to pull yourself out of this. You're going to make something of yourself, and you're going to create a name for your legacy and your family. So I started working a cornucopia of jobs early on in my life, dude. So I'm talking 13, 14 years old. I was on the grind.
That's awesome.
You said something that actually strikes pretty near and dear to our hearts. So you said you don't need the talent, right? You don't need the skill, but you can. What's the quote? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yep.
And we have a thing here at Summit Lending. It takes no talent. It TNT to ABC, right? It takes no talent to always be cool. And it sounds like your mom adopted that mentality with you. I mean, I know you're only 21, and so it hasn't been that long. But you've had that mentality your entire life, it sounds like, thanks to her.
Yeah, she was such a catalyst in just everything that I believe in. I saw her going to work. She worked at Kroger, which was a local supermarket, every day. And I had to learn how to make Chef Boyardee and ramen. And later on in life, that developed into a passion for cooking. But I accredit everything that I've kind of made myself as a man and made myself as a leader to my mom. And if anyone's watching as a single mom out there, that's probably the hardest profession in the entire world. So give yourselves a round of applause if you're tuning in. But it was quite an experience growing up in Detroit. But I found a couple ways to kind of keep myself busy and keep myself in the game.
So, in the intro, I was talking about how you're like a natural educator, and I know, you got through high school, and then you eventually went back to college, you got your degree, and then you got into teaching. But I think you said that the pay in teaching just wasn't cutting it. So how did that experience transform to your role right now that you have at UWM? Because I think those go kind of hand in hand with each other.
So growing up, for me, my very first job, believe it or not, was McDonald's, right? Yeah. And a lot of us, especially in the mortgage industry, have somehow I guess a creative way is that we always started delivering client service in one way or another. And once I worked my way up, I became a leader. I went to culinary school in Chicago. I failed out. I wasn't that good. So I moved back and I said, you know what? I'm going to move in with my mom again at age 26 years old. And she goes, well, you know what you got to do? You got to go to school. And I worked my way through community college, which is a great setup. And I think it's an amazing practice out there for anyone who's looking to get into academia, because one, it teaches discipline. And that's something I needed after working in Chicago for 4 or 5 years, staying out till 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. You also need discipline in this industry, right? It can be very lucrative. It can be very fast paced. If you're not structured, if you're not calculated in what you're doing each and every day, you could get lost. So becoming a teacher was awesome. But what I like to relate the mortgage industry to teaching is overcoming obstacles. You are influencing individuals on a daily basis on how to overcome difficulty, much like a mortgage originator would help a borrower with a difficult scenario. Or you're finding the best options for people. But unfortunately and criminally, teachers are underpaid out there. So I had to look for other
Don't
options.
I know it, man? I taught for 4 years in public school.
What subject? Was it music?
I taught entrepreneurship. Yeah, I got to teach kids how to start businesses. So that was pretty special.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, you're right. Criminally underpaid.
So
Joseph, we won't talk about the first mortgage company that you went and worked for, right? We'll just kind of, that was like, hey, get your feet wet and all that. So how did that come about? Like what drew you to UWM? Because, back at the time, UWM wasn't number one. They were growing tremendously, but, you were basically leaving one of the top places and made that transition. So how did that marriage come about?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I was actually on a beach and I had left my job at a retail entity that's pretty big here in Detroit. And I was just kind of taking it all in, trying to calculate what my next steps would be. I'm a very strategic person. I write game plans. I wake up every day and write 3 things that I'm accomplish. So if I accomplish one of those things, I know I'm at least, on the right path. And I got a phone call. I don't know how they got my number. And her name's Judy Levitt. And I hope she listens to this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know Judy.
She's amazing. And got a phone call from her on a beach here in Michigan. She goes, do you want to come work in the mortgage industry? And I go, absolutely not. I've already been here for 2 years. What's in it for me? And believe it or not, she kept me on the phone for 45 minutes.
Wow.
Saying how UWM is a family-based atmosphere, how not only do they invest in their team members, but they invest in something special, which is the wholesale broker channel, and being a huge part of their growth. And I'm like, okay, I'm 45 minutes in this call. I'll drive out to Troy, Michigan, which was our headquarters at that time, 7 years ago. And I walked through the door of UWM, and the second person I met was a guy, Matt Ishbia, the president and CEO.
Literally the second guy you met?
The second guy,
Wow.
yeah. The first person was a security guard that let me in the door. And the second person I met was Matt Ishbia. I had no idea who it was at this point, because in retail, we're not really told about what brokers do and how they are actually better. But he just like, hey, it's nice to see you. Welcome to the company. I hope that you get a couple takeaways from it. I'm like, takeaways from an interview? Like, what does that even mean? And then sure enough, I sat down with Judy and I just felt an energy. And there's something about being here at UWM. There's something about you two individuals on the wholesale side. It's just people that are helping somebody make the largest financial transaction they are ever going to make in their lifetime. And if the 3 of us sit here and we realize how impactful that is, and we let that marinate, what we're doing for our community, what we're doing for our borrowers, what we're doing for our buyers is so special. And that's why I felt home at UWM, and I don't plan on leaving.
Well,
that's amazing.
I think the thing that you said to us before and even today, I think a lot of people don't associate the financial services industry or even real estate to a certain degree about being service-based, right? It's somebody gets a mortgage, right? And then they get a house. Well, nobody wants a flipping mortgage, right? They want the house, right? And you and UWM and us at Summit Lending and the really good people in this industry have elite client service always at the forefront of their mind, right? And that's exactly like Summit Lending is the client of United Wholesale Mortgage, right? Like we're your client. And then the borrowers are our client. It's everyone's job within that hierarchy to make sure that we're all serving each other. So maybe talk a little bit about the service piece that took you from the food services industry to teaching to, what UWM that does that's so special to create service for not only the borrower, but also the wholesaler and the mortgage broker.
Well, one, I think that it's interchangeable, right? It starts with culture. I think client should be referred to as partner. So like if I go back to my days working at Subway, which is another one of my food service jobs, when I worked in a mall, which was a thing before cell phones, when people would go and they would communicate, they'd build relationships, and maybe they'd find relationships or
talk in person.
Right. So I would create these relationships. I'd have people coming back. I would make sure that I'd provide that service. So if Jenny or John came back the next week, hey, how's it going? And I dig in, how's the kids? How's the job? And if I cultivated that and I kept those individuals bringing back, that was the reward for me. So if we jump in the time machine and we flash forward to becoming an educator, I think about the individuals that made an impact on my life. Mm-hmm. If I look back, and this guy will never listen to this podcast, his name was Mr. Heron, shout out Churchill High School in Livonia, Michigan, just having that impact on me, saying, hey, it's okay to be a rock and roller. It's okay to have blue hair. That was that client service as a teacher that said, you know what, I want to help people. And that's what it's all about, because this industry can be incredibly lucrative, but at the end of the day, we're making such a significant impact on an individual. It's not about statistics. It's about humans. It's about being relationship driven. And if we bring those experiences to people in regards to a mortgage, I mean, heck, if you look up mortgage in the dictionary, it legitimately translates to an old French law term that means death pledge. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. If we get to know our clients, if we get to dig into their financial needs, if we get to offer them a solution, and even if it doesn't end up working in our benefit, if we build those relationships, it's in a reward. And that's what the client service is about. That's what servant leadership is about. I'm blessed enough to have 5 individuals that report to me on the partner services team. And I like to equate leadership. I like to equate client service to, so let's just say everyone's climbing up Mount Everest, right? If we're not tied together on that tether as we climb up that mountain, we're going to fall apart. Someone's going to get left behind. But we're all bringing each other up by investing in each other, by investing in our buyers, by investing in our borrowers. We're going to reach that summit. Ironically, the name, I promise I didn't, that's cheesy. Ironically, the name of your guys' shop. But that's what it's all about. It's about servant leadership. It's about client service. It's about being available. Answer the phone. How many opportunities are missed every day? I answer the phone. If anyone, unless I see it's like an 800 number and I know it's a debt collector or something because I didn't pay a $10 medical charge at the urgent care, whatever it is. Right. But that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, this is a service industry and we provide a service.
You know, the one thing that one of your quotes that you had sent over to us that I just love, and I'm going to read it to everyone. You said, everyone is different and everyone climbs to the top together. And I love that because what UWM has mastered, and we talk about this all the time, is yes, you guys are the largest wholesaler. And, you know, for people who are listening, you know, this call is more about, you know, the servitude and everyone, you know, working together and the service experience that you get. But like what UWM has mastered, they have mastered the people business, right? They have that piece down just hands down because we've been up there several times. In fact, we'll be up there soon to see you again. But the way that people interact with everyone up there, everyone's on teams and everyone's rowing in the same direction, right? And that's what I love about you guys and, you know, and what we do for a living, being a mortgage broker is like literally everyone is going down the stream in the right direction. And you guys, the way you measure everything, the way you have competitions between different teams there and just the whole, you know, ambiance that Matt Ishbia has put together, man, it's truly incredible.
And one of the things that I love about it is if you look at our pillars, which is essentially our mission statement or our vision, the very first pillar is people are our greatest asset. Every time you walk through the door of UWM, you know you are a part of something special. And I attribute that to one word, and that word is growth. And it's not only growth of the mortgage broker channel like you all, but it's growth personally and professionally. We have every team member out here sitting on a floor together. There aren't offices. There's very few offices. You'll see senior leaders, EVPs, CEOs traversing the floor saying hello. And that's the pick-me-up that you need. And that's if you come out to UWM, you feel that energy. You feel inspired. You feel like you're a part of something huge. And I like to say this, I don't know the math, as I like to call it, referring to Matt Ishbia and how he calculates things, but you know, it's like 22.5% market share for mortgage brokers. I can't wait to see when it's 25. When it's 27, when it's 30, how crazy this place is going to be, the energy, the experience, and not only the experience of us as mortgage professionals, but the experiences of borrowers making the largest financial transaction they're ever going to make in a lifetime and know they're doing it the right way through a mortgage broker.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
and the great thing is, we always know that you guys have our back. Like anytime we need something or anything like that, I mean, you guys are always creating ways to improve. And I think even, Matt Ishbia, what was it back in 2021? He had that dream of like, hey, how can we go out there and help our partners, help the professional mortgage originator to go out there and get better. Therefore, that's where partner services. Did I tee that up okay?
That's perfect.
Oh, it was right down the middle. It was right down the middle, and hopefully I'm going to knock it out of the park. But that was such a creative idea, and to kind of paint the picture for you guys, I was a Success Track trainer, which is a awesome platform for training mortgage professionals all across the country, regardless of experience level, regardless of role. There's a training for you. And then 2020 came around, COVID was happening, things were changing. But that's what we do as mortgage professionals. We adapt to change. We embrace it. We wake up and celebrate those little victories. If we do something right, hey, we made our bed, that's victory number one. We talk to a client, that's victory number two. And those little victories add up to championships. And we use Microsoft Teams, which is a communication platform here at UWM, in which we can communicate with other team members, right? So if I have a question for Bobby or if I have a question in DC, I can just hit them up. You can also call people through Teams. So I'm sitting there one day working at home, and I had my nice shirt, my suit jacket, my basketball shorts on because you're on Zoom. There's why on earth would you wear just dress slacks? And my Microsoft Teams starts going off and it's buzzing, and I'm like, what? And I see it. It pops up in the left-hand corner of my screen, and it says Matt Ishbia. And I'm like, whoa, Matt Ishbia is calling me on Teams right now. I know he's very personable. Maybe he just wants to say hello, or maybe it's someone else or whatever. I click on it, and there he is right in front of me. Now, the whole joke of this whole scenario is
that you had no pants on.
Well, listen, I won't confirm nor deny what happened while I was working at home, but I can say this for sure, is that in Michigan, you couldn't go to a barber during COVID, right? Unless it was like an underground barber, you want to get yourself in a sketchy situation.
Right.
So I had a giant beard, all out of whack hair. I wasn't looking great. And I clicked this call button, and
amazing.
And I didn't know it was going to be Matt. And it pops up, and he's like, hey, Joseph, how you doing? I'm like just all rattled, like trying to button up the tie real quick. And he goes, hey, man, I love what you're doing in Success Track. That's what he always does. It's recognition. And outside of the industry, recognition on a daily basis. Find two people to recognize. It's something as simple as that, because you'll feel that energy. You'll feel those chemicals going, and it's just going to motivate you throughout the entire day. But so Matt, he goes, hey, I have an idea. It's called Partner Services. And what it is just going to be a group of free consultants that can help our mortgage partners grow, maintain, and sustain their business. He's like, can you lead this team for me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, man. Of course, I'll do anything. This company saved my life. The mortgage professionals out there, they do such amazing things for us. He goes, okay, awesome. And then hangs up the call.
Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I go, okay, well, what do I do from here? So luckily, I teamed up with an amazing vice president of sales over here. His name's Tom Warner and Anthony Frederick, who you guys have met. They're amazing. Yeah. Yep. And they go, all right, we're going to go around to UWM. And what we're going to do is find 6 experts in 6 different areas of expertise that can help our mortgage partners grow. So to kind of break it down for you guys, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So number 1 is recruiting. So we have a recruiting consultant on our team that can sit down with any mortgage professional and strategize ideas on how to find the right team members that fit a business model. Because, each company is different. Some people might be looking for an experienced originator or an experienced processor with a book of business, or you might be looking to find someone green, someone completely new to the industry, who, in my opinion, is the way to go, because you can mold them into your culture. You can mold them into your beliefs. You can invest in them right off rip and create something special. And our recruiting consultant does a really good job kind of strategizing with value proposition, strategizing on how to create job ads, whatever it may be, to bring the right individuals on. So that's just one area of expertise. Number 2 is marketing. Now, you guys do a great job on marketing. If you're watching this, you're not following Summit Linden on LinkedIn, please do yourself a favor. It's fantastic. You guys do a great job. But
great plug.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll appreciate the free swag that I get when you guys are out here next week. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? So social can be tough. and myself included, right? I have an Instagram. I'm very passionate about cooking. I'm very passionate about food, but that's like, I'm one dimensional. You know, as a mortgage professional, what we recommend on your social media pages is to post 75% business related content and 25% personal related content. Why? Because that differentiates you as a professional, right? You're not just the dude in a suit that's trying to write a mortgage. You're someone that is a human being. So our marketing consultants can sit down, they can review your strategies, they can put together game plans if you want to have events, whatever it may be. It's absolutely awesome. And it's free too. And we give you free resources. We talk a little bit of one of the hot button issues we've been talking about lately is AI. And that stuff gets pretty wild. But with like Chat GPT, I could just write something like, oh, how can I explain a conventional loan? And it's going to give me 3-4 paragraphs on how I can just translate that into a video text. And it's done all the work for me. But no, I'm not plugging Chat GPT. I'm plugging my marketing consultants. But
exactly.
So that's 2 of the 6. Then 3 is licensing. So as mortgage professionals out there, and I'm sure you guys know, is state to state is different in regards to guidelines and resources, regulation. Like California is different than Nevada. Some states are brick and mortar. And what we can do for our partners out there is just simplify the process and make it more efficient. We can put together a bullet pointed list on the steps that you need to take to make getting licensed in each individual state easy. It's not like we're out there pounding the pavement or pushing the paper for you. We're simplifying the process.
Right.
And, you know, you don't have to make unnecessary calls to the state. I had to call the state of Michigan the other day in regards to a licensing question, and I was put on hold for 15 minutes, then told that representative was taking lunch. Right. So I'm like, it's like Comcast cable all over again. Right. So I'm like, dude.
Right.
But here's the thing is we make it easy for you. And then in regards to our 4th area, that's going to be technology. With this industry having a cornucopia of systems, LOS, POS, CRM systems, to provide that elite client service that we always go back to in regards to talking about, we have to have a maximized tech stack. So what we can do is answer those questions on how to provide that service, on how to make it easy for our clients out there. What system works best for your company? Maybe it's a 10-man shop and one program software works better, or you're a 1,000-man shop and one works better than the previous one mentioned. We can simplify the process. And then 5th is lead generation. So as we've all known in the past, 14 to 18 months in the industry, rates went up. It became basically a purchase dominant industry, which for me, I'm an all mindset guy. People always need to buy homes, but that changed an approach with a lot of originators out there, because now what they have to do is communicate with agents, communicate with buying, selling, listing agents, title, whatever it may be. And that's where we come into play to help. We have organic strategies, and one of the strategies we like to touch on is actually a podcast, right? Yep. We're not sitting here talking about numbers. We're not breaking down what APOR means. We're sitting here sharing a story, because each individual professional in this industry has their own unique story. And I think that's what makes it great. But going back to it, lead generation, UWM also, for all of our partners out there, does have a lead buy and an agent connect, part of our boost system, which can actually connect our mortgage professionals out there with an agent that's working with retail. So if you get together as an originator with this agent that's working with retail, you differentiate yourself. You explain why working with a mortgage broker or a mortgage professional on the wholesale side is better. You provide that elite client service to that realtor. What you're doing now is drumming up that business, creating that relationship, and boom, now it's back. Now they realize, okay, maybe 10, 12, 15 deals a year. It's amazing. So lead generation. And lastly, it's my part, role on the team is company culture. If you guys can't tell, I'm incredibly passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about everything I do in life. Like if to paint a little picture, man, music, skateboarding, art, food, mortgages. If you guys want to follow me on the Instagram, it's there. I like to share all those stories all the time. But there's something about a company culture that you have to have solidified to keep people around. And number one, it starts with investing in a human being personally and professionally, setting goals, having structure, doing the right thing. And unfortunately, let's be honest, this is the financial industry and the mortgage sector. Turnover is statistically high. It's just the way that it works. So what are some strategies that you all could put in place to keep people around? And that's kind of where I come in with culture and training. I was a huge, crucial part of building success tracks. So what I like to do is get new originators on the phone too and talk a little bit about how to overcome objections, right? I like to say that one of my favorite 3 words in the mortgage industry are, what's your rate, right? How do you overcome that? Or Credit Karma says I have an 800 FICO score. Just give me the quote, give me the numbers, and then you pull the credit. It's a different scenario. Right. So how to overcome those objections, how to create a company culture. It's about structure. It's about love. It's about passion. At the end of the day, it's all about mindset.
Well, and you touched on one thing that I want you to expand on just a little bit, Joseph, because UWM does a phenomenal job, obviously, investing in their partners, their brokerage shops, just like us and the mortgage originator. So touch base a little bit about Success Track and how you guys have these classes, and if you're at a certain level that they can actually come out and visit and go through those different variations of classes that you guys have.
Absolutely. Success Track is just an absolute force. And one of the great things about coming out here to UWM is not only seeing your true partner, seeing 7,000 people that are invested in your success, it's networking with mortgage professionals all across the United States and sharing best practices, getting tips, getting strategies. And sometimes that's even more beneficial than the classes themselves. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it, you have new originator courses, where if you come out, what we'll do is we'll walk you through UWM's system, we'll walk you through mortgage guidelines, we'll walk you through products, new processing classes. We have experienced LO classes, so maybe you want to focus on certain things like search engine optimization or taking your sales game to the next level. We've even rolled out a social media guru class, a recruiting class. You name it, if there's a niche, we've developed the training. But the most important part for me is from a recruiting aspect, right? So if there's any retail originators out there that are watching this podcast, and I hope there are, come out here, join Bobby, join DC, and come out to a Success Track course, because it is truly an experience to not only see what we have here. I mean, I'm up on the second floor, but I have 7,000 people down here, but to just feel the energy.
We can hear him too.
Yeah, I know. I heard the guy earlier was cheering. Must have closed his first loan or something.
That's awesome.
But here's the thing. Coming out to Success Track, seeing what the wholesale side is all about, seeing what UWM as the number one lender in the country is all about, is one heck of an experience. And like you said, you start, if you're a mortgage broker out there, you're an originator, you start doing a little bit of business, guess what? Flights free, hotels free, and the courses are always free. And right. I guarantee that if you put yourself in the mindset that every single time you come out to UWM, that you're going to get 2 to 3 takeaways that you can immediately, upon return, implement into your business, it's a success story.
We say that every time. Every time we come back, we come back with 1,000 notes, right? That we said, oh, this is badass. We need to implement this. But really, then we have the conversations of, okay, what are the 2 or 3 things that we can immediately implement? And we do those things, and they have a lasting impact because we've chosen to be laser specific on the things that are really going to change the value of the business. And something else I want to add is, take it from us. Like we've been up there a bunch. We've obviously built great relationships with people like you and Matt and Mateen and all these guys, but it is a true experience.
Absolutely.
We do come back and we're always feeling energized when we do come back, whether we see something on the wall that inspires us at UWM and we want to come do something similar back home in Kansas City or at Arizona or one of our other locations. But it really is an experience. And from people like us, we obviously do a lot of business with UWM, so we do have some of those perks. So like next week, we're bringing up an entire crew that people that are interested in joining our team because they say, okay, I recognize what Summit Lending's doing. I recognize what UWM is doing. With that marriage together, this is an unstoppable force. Right. So we've truly taken advantage of those offerings from UWM, and it's done wonders for the business.
Well, and just like we were talking about the other day, Bobby and I were hanging out. We like to game plan every now and then over, a Coke or something like that. So we were just chilling out, but we were talking about coaching and how coaching is really like maintenance, right, of like a mindset. So we're really big believers like, every quarter, at least once every 6 months, that you need to be in like some type of coaching platform or make a visit to UWM because it just gets you ramped up, right? It's almost like mortgage therapy, right? And you get some gold nuggets, but not only that, but being around some of the other people from around different parts of the country is almost just as valuable to see what they're doing in their respective markets. And you're just collaborating and everyone is there, thinking about how to improve, better sales tactics and help each other. I mean, I know we've helped people that we've, came across in different classes and things like that. So I think that is just phenomenal. So that right there, I think is really setting people apart because Joseph, because I want you to touch base here in a second after I'm done, but say something to the retail loan officer that maybe doesn't know the broker channel that much, but now since 2007, 2008, it's cool to be a mortgage broker again, right? They kind of got falsely blamed for all the craziness that happened, 15 years ago or however long it's been now. But UWM is truly blazing the road of the broker comeback. And with that being said, Joseph, like if a retail loan officer doesn't really know much about the broker side, what would you say to them?
So I immediately would just say community. So for me, when I was in retail, I was subject to one book of guidelines, one book of pricing, one book of products, and one group of leaders. And I think one thing that has really inspired me since I've joined the wholesale channel 7 years ago is you have so many groups. You have so many points of contact that are going to support you through every step of the process. It doesn't even have to be the specific shop that you're working for. There are Facebook groups. There's a myriad of resources that can inspire you to be great. And not to mention the flexibility of a mortgage broker. Better options, multiple lenders, better pricing. At the end of the day, it's the mortgage broker originator on the wholesale side's duty to provide the fiduciary responsibility to get that best deal. So not only do you get a suite of products, and not like they are sweet products, but a suite of products, you get a sense of community, and you get to provide a borrower or buyer with the experience of their lifetime because you found the best deal for them. And that's how I'd sum it up.
Exactly. And how I like to sum it up sometimes is the difference is, just like UWM, like they are truly your partners. So they're backing you, right? They're like supporting you, bending over backwards because it's just like everything that you guys are doing. And it's just brilliant, right? You have Success Track, the trips that come up there, the trainings. And it's brilliant because you're helping LOs build their business, improve their business so they can make more money for their family, work more, have a better life. But at the end of the day, you guys are really awesome lenders. So those people that you're helping and training, they want in turn to send their loans to you guys. Right. And it's just such a good community that works phenomenally together.
Yeah, and then that's something that I really like about it. Is from a originator's perspective, UWM's number one, but not everything's going to fit our box. There are other options out there for other style loans, whether they're non-QM loans, lower FICO loans, maybe niche products. As that originator, you have that flexibility. But at the end of the day, it's community. I mean, there are amazing organizations out there that can support you from day one as an originator on the wholesale side. You have Success Track to come out here and feel supported and feel inspired. So for me, there's not a fear. When I started in retail, it was literally push button, get leads, which hypothetically sounds like a great thing to have, right? But no training, no support. It was, hey, what we need you to get is 16 digits on a credit card and lock that interest rate in. After 2.5 years of retail origination, I couldn't tell you what a contingency was. I couldn't break down an LE or a CD for you, but I could sure as heck sell you on why to go with me and lock the rate in. Being on this side, you see more of it. You get to see the back end, the front end. You get to watch that borrower go through every step of the process like it's like a newborn child, right? You're raising it to the end of the loan. And it's absolutely incredible to just be a part of the wholesale channel and just the energy, right? Like every single day waking up, knowing there's opportunity out there, especially springtime purchase season. I put myself in this mindset that when for example, I'm going out tonight, I'm going to have, like you guys said, a couple waters, maybe a nice meal, maybe, watch a little baseball. But every time I'm out there, I'm thinking, hey, what can I do to make a difference? If I hear someone talking about a mortgage, boom, here's my business card. And it's a wonderful thing to not be kind of handcuffed or constrained by a retail lender, but have so many options and so much support.
The thing is that I equate UWM and then what we do with our loan officers is like UWM, you make it about all your broker relationships, right? You support all the brokers to make sure that they have better pricing, better products, and the efficiency and the technology is just off the chain, right? And that allows us, our philosophy as owning our brokerage here in Kansas City is again, it's not about us. It's branding, letting the LOs brand themselves, letting them, own their CRM completely. Let them do their Google reviews. Let them brand themselves because they are the face, so they can go out and build their own business, and we are the support ecosystem for them,
facilitating, true independence.
Yeah, true independence. So, no, everything that you guys do is just phenomenal. And, another thing that I want to touch base on is, when people come up to Success Track, is going to that Wednesday morning sales meeting. The sales meeting. I mean, it's literally like
it's like
a little
crack cocaine on a stage,
right?
Like it just gets you all jacked up, and you just want to run through a wall,
right? And everyone's got their cell phones on, and they literally just look at the time, and about 10 seconds before it's 9:00, Matt starts walking on stage just like clockwork. Man, it's amazing.
And I think one of the big parts of the sales meeting is just not only that energy and that vibe and that atmosphere, it's the recognition. Not only are you hearing about industry updates to help you be a subject matter expert with your buyers or borrowers, it's the recognition of the broker channel. The very first thing Matt says when he walks up there, he goes, for example, 2 weeks ago, we have 600 mortgage professionals from all across the country that have joined us here at Success Track. Can you give them a round of applause? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, forgive me. I'm like, hell yeah, that's amazing that all of these individuals have come out here to grow. So you're already fired up. And then you get Mateen Cleaves. And if you guys don't know who Mateen Cleaves is, former NCAA MVP, just YouTube him. He's got tons of great highlights out there. And if you ever come out here to Success Track, you got to meet him. He's a great guy. And then just hearing Matt Ishbia speak, hearing our senior leaders speak, it's just an amazing environment. But at the end of the day, every single person that works at UWM in sales knows that meeting occurs every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And it comes back to that structure. Everyone looks forward to that meeting. And when I do these culture consultations, I'm telling you, meetings are so important. And if anyone out there is wondering what this meeting looks like, you can stream it live on uwm.com every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And I think they do a West Coast one too. It's at noon. But it's just every Wednesday, and you get to see people being promoted. You get to see people earning their coins, which is how many loans they closed. And you just feel invigorated when you get back to the phone, man. Even though I'm not an account executive or an originator anymore, I'm sitting here looking through my dials. I'm like, you know what? I could see if I can get a deal in the door. You just feel inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So, hey, speaking of which, is there any way we can have Matt give us folks from Missouri a special shout out when we come up, at his sales meeting? Can we make that happen?
I like a Dominate shirt, right? So this is another cool story for you guys, is to be on recognition. And that's, as salespeople, we're competitive by nature. It's in our blood. Every week we give our Dominate shirt out to a mortgage broker from across the country. Could be anybody. Hopefully it might be you guys at some point, but I'll place the bug in Matt's here, and also place the bug to maybe get into a Suns game. I mean, they're in the playoffs, maybe against the Clippers. Let's go Suns.
Heck yeah.
Ooh, now you're talking. Yeah. We're in all day on
Flights
that, man.
Flights booked.
Yes, exactly.
Well, man, anything else that you wanted him to speak on specifically?
Man, Joseph, you literally nailed every single bullet point that I had down here for you, man. Like you always do. You're always bringing value. And another thing that I love, not only, with you and our account rep and, even Devin and recruiting, anytime, like if we have a sales meeting, we're talking about meetings, but anytime we have a sales meeting and we're like, hey, would you like to jump in on our team meeting for 10 or 15 minutes? Because we do a sales meeting every other Tuesday, and starting a specific sales meeting that we'll talk to you and we'll have you on as well. But, man, it's just so cool that you guys are just, anytime that we raise our hand, like you guys are just like, yep, not a problem. We'll be on the meeting, and you're always bringing value, man. So we truly appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast, and it's an honor to be in front of any of our mortgage partners. But for me, one of my favorite companies out there is Summit Lending, and all what you guys do for our community is just absolutely incrable. But if you don't mind, I got a couple questions I want to ask you guys.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. You ready?
All right,
let's
rapid
go.
Fire.
All right,
what you got?
So I know Bobby's a rock and roller. So I'm going to ask him this question: who is the favorite person or musician that you have ever played with?
That I've opened for or shared the stage with?
Saved the stage, whoever.
Oh man, that does it. Put me on the spot. I mean, I've opened shows for uber famous bands, but a lot of them are not very cool,
It's okay. You open for Nickelback. It's fine.
They're from Michigan, aren't they?
No, we don't claim Nickelback.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
man.
I'm sorry, any Nickelback fans out there. This could be
They
edited.
get such a bad rap.
Yeah.
No, gosh.
I want to be a rock star.
Dude, that's a really
Big
tough one.
TLC.
Obviously.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Somehow that damn reference comes up on this freaking show like every other week.
We need to do that. We need to start putting like certain phrases that each one of us is responsible for interjecting.
Put a tally mark on the wall. I'll tell you. I'll make a quick answer, Joseph. So, in college, our band, I was the drummer in that band. We, at the time, we were 18 years old, and we got to open a concert for, remember the band Smash Mouth?
Oh, All Star. Yeah.
Yeah. And that song was really big. It was 22 years ago. And we opened the show as 18-year-olds, and we thought that we made it, right? Yeah. And we'd been touring since we were 16 years old, and this was the pinnacle to open up for Smash Mouth.
That's awesome.
So that was a good time. They were nice guys.
Somebody once told me that the world was going to just...
Here we go.
So fun facts about the mortgage industry, and this ties into just how diverse this industry is and how awesome this is when I was teaching Success Track 3 years ago, what we would do is we'd go around the room and we ask everyone what their fun fact was. So like, oh, my name's Timmy, and my fun fact was that I own a burger joint, whatever. So I call him this one guy, really handsome, tattooed dude, and I'm like, hey, what's your fun fact? He stands up and he goes, I've sold millions of records across the world. Really? And I go, so, me just being an arrogant, like, I'm just like, okay, prove it. And he goes, I'm the lead singer of the band Lit. You remember my own worst enemy? His name's AJ Popoff. Yeah.
And he's doing mortgages?
He's doing, I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but it was so cool because everyone.
I used to cover that song.
It's dan, 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 dan. But it was just so cool because you get so many people. We've had Olympic athletes, professional athletes, musicians out here at Success Track, and it was just so cool to be like, wow. So immediately what I did was I put this my own worst enemy song on YouTube and embarrassed the guy. But dude was awesome, and hopefully he's doing well out there. But I had to ask that question. I got one for you too, DC.
All right. What you got, bro?
Favorite Kansas City athlete of all time? Fire.
Ooh, man.
Good one. We got a lot of buddies.
Man, I'm gonna, but this is gonna be tough. Can I give you more than one?
Yes. I'll limit you to two.
You know what? So we're baseball guys, right?
100%.
But I'm gonna lead with a football guy, and let me tell you why. Growing up and watching the Kansas City Chiefs in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, like everything comes down to if you have a franchise quarterback, you can build everything else around him. And what we're experiencing right now in Kansas City is, I call it the golden era of the Kansas City Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is just
changed everything.
He's an absolute beast. Talk about mindset, positive attitude, all that stuff that can be translated in any type of industry. But Patrick Mahomes is an absolute icon and just a stud of all studs here, right? So that would be number one. And then number two, I would have to go with George Brett. George Brett, the Royals Hall of Famer, just growing up and watching him and winning batting titles in 3 different decades, making the Hall of Fame and the 85 World Series. And actually, George, we have a picture of George right here on our wall. George has been on the podcast, and Bobby and I have a lot of connections with going to Royals fantasy camp. But man, those two guys right there are game changers for the city.
I thought you were going to say Steve DeBerg was
it is broken pinky.
Quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
But here's a fun fact, though. I used to mow his yard.
Look at that.
How about that?
That's a young entrepreneur making a sphere of influence right there, dude.
No matter what happens on this show, we'll always connect the dots somehow. I'll tell you what, Joseph and everyone else listening, from a company like Summit Lending, who is a really successful mortgage brokerage, we use partner services all the time. Yep. They're always available. It doesn't matter if you're broker owners or if you're a loan originator within a brokerage. You have access to these amazing tools, these amazing team members for things like recruiting, marketing, licensing from state to state, systems, lead generation, and culture led by Joseph Wheat. It's just amazing. A phenomenal setup. And we always say this, and you mentioned it a couple times, Joseph, But it doesn't matter if you're a brokerage of 100 people, one person, 1,000 people. You have 7,000 people essentially working for you behind the scenes that are on the payroll, making sure that you are as successful as possible. And that's one of the biggest things that we love about UWM is that we've got this giant team that helps us every single day.
Well, and not only that, it's all that support, but it's all the individuals like, Joseph, you're one of our buddies now. And like literally everyone that we come across at UWM, they all have that core value of being that servant leadership and just a giver. And the training platform that you guys do on the back end of just training your staff is off the chain, man, because everyone knows their stuff and their specific roles. So we can't even like explain it, but anyone that has the opportunity to come visit you guys, they absolutely need to do it, man. And bro, we cannot wait to see you soon, man. We're going to have a great time.
I can't wait for you guys to come out here next. And to be honest with you, it's such an honor to be on this podcast. And I always get super excited and I always get a little bit of emotional because at 2023, this is just the beginning for us personally and professionally and as the mortgage broker channel, because we're going to keep rolling. We're going to dominate. We're going to gain market share and we're going to have the best years of our lives coming up.
Let's go, brother.
Dominate.
Let's go dominate.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Hey guys, this has been the Always Be Cool podcast with your hosts, Bobby Kerr, Darren Copeland, and today's special guest, Mr. Joseph Wheat. Be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Always Be Cool Podcast. Take care, everybody, and always be cool.
Thanks, everyone.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Darren and Bobby thank you from the bottom of their hearts.
They hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave them a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in our community.
Also, feel free to let DC and BK know which business or community leaders you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on social media. See you next time for a new episode. And remember, always be cool.
This podcast is powered by Summit Lending, NMLS number 1850081, Equal Housing Lender.